How did you become vegan and vegetarian, respectively?
I was born vegetarian. I was raised vegetarian like everyone in my family, so it's quite easy.
I became vegetarian because a girl at school who I was scared of but thought was really cool became vegetarian. So there were kind of like experiments along the way, and then I became vegan because I watched the Grand National. Well, I didn't watch it. I hate the Grand National. And I was talking to a friend about how much I hate the Grand National, and then I was sort of rationalising all of the parts of it that I didn't like, and then I was like, damn it, that also means I can't eat dairy. Yeah, I've been a vegan for about 3 years.
I feel like you've been vegan for like
forever.
Yeah, it feels
that
like
way to me too.
And like, do you find it challenging, either of you, when you go out to a restaurant or you have to eat kind of in public, so to speak?
Vegetarian, I find so easy. I would say I've become the queen of making a full meal out of starters and sides. Any restaurant will have that, even if you go to a steakhouse.
There are a couple of things that aren't there to be vegan, like sides or starters, but are vegan. So I usually just get those. And it is difficult, but I feel like people are sort of coming around to the idea of veganism a bit more.
People at least now know what it is when you tell them, and they don't go like, sorry, what?
Some people claim that vegetarians and vegans can have like a preachy quality to them. Do you agree?
I forget that not everyone's vegetarian.
Me too.
Whenever someone asks, I will just tell them like, yeah, meat industry is kind of shit. So is the dairy industry. And it's probably better for you to not eat meat. But, you know, do what you want to do. Like, I won't bring it up as much, but I will probably sort of explain why.
I think there are preachy vegans and vegetarians, obviously, but I think it's massively overplayed because people like that idea of like, I think a lot of it is sometimes guilt from like people who believe in vegetarianism but don't practice it. So they get a lot of like, oh well, vegetarians are really preachy and vegans are really preachy, and they're pushing their beliefs on me.
I feel like there's as many preachy meat eaters as there are preachy vegans and vegetarians. I feel like people are preachy about every sort of diet choice they have. There's like preachy gluten-free people and like, you know, every variety.
I think when you talk about being vegan, if in any capacity, people are like, talking about being vegan again, or like, here comes the vegan to say something about veganism. So if like if somebody asks me a question about veganism or about the ethics of veganism and I start talking about it, I've often then had people be like, okay. And I do get a lot of very ranty people who, when they find out that you're vegan, feel like it's a personal insult to them. People are like, kind of pointing out anything that you do as like, is that vegetarian, is that vegan, or if you're a vegan you have to also believe this, this and this, and I'm like, are you a vegan? They're like, no, I eat meat.
Do you have advice for people if they were going to be cutting down considerably on meat and dairy in their diets?
Do a lot of research on not just what you can't eat, but on what you can eat, and have like a list, like, here are 10 things I can definitely eat, and then at least you'll know, like, if you're like in a position where you're really hungry and you need to get something, at least you'll know where to get it and what to get.
My advice is to go easy on yourself. There is a lot of vegan and vegetarianism like policing, and it's from vegans and vegetarians and from people who aren't. And I think especially the vegan community can get very like militant a lot of the time, especially if you go into like Facebook groups. If you're looking for like recipes and support and stuff, it can get a little bit scary in there. So just kind of go easy on yourself, and if you want to become vegetarian or vegan, then like it's obviously just like taking little steps towards that. And if you like mess up, you haven't messed up, and it doesn't mean you're like done. It's just like a little, don't be too hard on yourself. Food is a very personal thing, and eating is a very personal thing, so like, yeah.
I also think just making the choices that you think you can make. So sort of, you might have one thing that you say, oh, I can't, I find it really hard giving up this, but I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this, and you sort of build it as you go along. You don't have to go full vegetarian, full vegan, and also getting things from better sources if you're not quite ready to completely cut it out. So that's what I'm trying to do with eggs. I'm trying to get it from like farmers markets and places where I know they're, you know,
good
the chickens
eggs.
are being treated well, instead of going to the supermarket. And so that's sort of a small change, but it still helps.
Like, what's your favourite thing that you've discovered, if you get what I mean, that you're like, oh my
Oreos.
god, this is the best thing in the world? For me, when I've like done brief periods of veganism, the Outpost soya chocolate desserts were for me like godly.
The dark chocolate ones are amazing.
Yeah, the dark chocolate.
I think it's called Lazy Day Foods, and they do like millionaire shortbread, like brownies, chocolate tiffin, like all this stuff, and it's all vegan. And you can get it in Sainsbury's free for a mile, and it's amazing. Nutritional yeast. which sounds really weird, and I think Sana's probably making a face as I say it because it sounds gross, but it tastes kind of cheesy.
I was never brave enough to try it.
It tastes really cheesy and delicious, and if you like mix it with other things, you can make like cheesy tasting things, and I just add it to everything.